Last week, and the gist of last week's show, what is human? And that piece. And the gist of it was, or what it was saying, is no matter which level, label, box, country, awake or asleep, wealth or not status you reside in, all levels really have no discernible difference from anyone else, in terms of actions at the very least. And this disturbed some listeners and garnered a bit of a negative reaction. Some felt the show wasn't upbeat or positive enough and was declared negative. But this show is not entertainment. It's just not. It's real life, it's reality, and it will not be sugar-coated because some won't face reality. You know, we have to face reality, all of us. No one can genuinely dispute or put a counter-argument up against that piece, because deep down you all know it's true. And once we all accept that fact, which then recognises we have a problem, because currently that problem is always somebody else's issue, then we can come up with solutions to correcting the problem. You can't fix a problem fully with parts missing. You know, there's a common theme that has been used by us all in the alt media to put up the control system as a pyramid with various entities on the upper levels, and we the people are the foundation of that pyramid, the bottom layer, which is largely true. But when you factor in that people from all the other levels to the top are all by and large came from the same foundation that we were on. It's not something some want to hear, as it's far easier to say they came from a privileged or a different background. Plus the fact I wouldn't call being born a Rothschild a privilege, more like a burden. But let's look at the pyramid from a different angle or perspective. It's like looking in the mirror as the third person we mentioned recently. Place the pyramid on the floor and then add a piece of wood that is equal both sides on top of the pyramid. That pyramid is now the fulcrum of a seesaw. We the people on one end, the control system on the other. Which way does the seesaw go? Well, currently, although not as much now, the seesaw end with the people on is tipped on the floor, which puts the control system above us. And so how is that corrected? Well, it's corrected by those at the bottom lifting themselves up and rising up the plank towards the fulcrum, the pyramid, which is exactly how the pyramid was created. The key then is the climb up with a different perspective or ideals, or will you go down and join them and become the system? Or change you and become part of something bigger than yourself. You know, all of us have been lied to. Even listening to the people in the Intel portion, the Federal Reserve, JP Morgan's, several other state departments. They've all been lied to. And we all lie to each other. All or most of the key aspect to his story is false. And either we see in the mirror or follow the illusion in the mirror, the latter of which has failed repeatedly. Now, some are all too content to focus on the reflection and the subsequent deflection and not introspection, which is what is required by the all. And for those hard of hearing, that includes me. Shadow and inner work cannot be fixed by fake online spiritualists or New Age bullshitters. They cannot do that for you. Only you can do that. And doing it for you is following the illusion path. Hundreds of dollars later, you're back where you started. Why? Because you haven't done it. And all you're doing is playing the loop. It's a tough process, and it brings many rewards that far outweigh pieces of paper. There is a beginning to it, and most refuse to face the beginning initially, but there is no end to it. If you think you've completed your shadow and inner work, you're deluding yourself only. Do your waves flow fairly evenly, or do they slosh about wildly? And that is where the 45-55 comes in nicely. The head in the sand approach did and does not work. Otherwise, we would all have a much better world. And the message was, we are no different to anybody else. And we all have to step up, awake, asleep, minions and the bloodline families. We were taken on a one-way ride to a point of no return. Too few are fully yet to grasp that. 2012 was our cut-off. The end. And many have worked hard to get us a final chance to be different. But you can only do that by being honest with the self. And you can only be honest and also humble within the self if the self is at peace and has attained levels of mastery. Issues will always crop up, and those issues are beacons to show you where you still need more work. Now, people ask for sovereignty again. Unlike what is human, it's not defined what it is or what it entails. Sovereignty is about holding your own space, not allowing others to run it for you, which means personal responsibility. There was a comment from one of the members this week that said, "Let it go" is a term we frequently use in my practice. Open the mind to all possibility. Mind is infinite. There are no limitations, only those self-imposed. It's the heart that's infinite, not the mind. But the message was correct. And it also went on and said, that is at the essence of Aikido. Let go. Become one with source. Have vision. Become the kind of human you choose to be. And build the life and society you choose, based on a foundation of love, and protect all creation. Help all things grow and develop. And as the writer of that piece said, I've got my work cut out. We all do. Now the key is to put that practice to work and gain mastery. I never particularly liked that term Hang on a minute, let's take that off. The term practice. It always disturbs me that they call the doctor's work centre a practice. A practice is for the non-learned, is it not? It's all in the words. But we're all still learning. That is called progression. The old learning ways was stagnation. It was designed that way. Now, if you stagnate on linear time, you go backwards. If you're on vertical time, you stand still. Now, most people currently operate on linear time. But like the seesaw analogy, the key is to climb, not stagnate. I hope people grasp that analogy. Very soon, in fact, in some aspects, it's already underway. Humanity will face their very own D-Day and their version of the Dunkirk landing, where we come out of the sea, having been declared dead at sea under the maritime law. A sea with all its fury surrounded by a mist of fog, so no one could even see the beach, never mind landing on it. And that fog is now clearing rapidly for many, and the beach is in sight and also in reach. Now, once you've achieved that and are now out of the sea and away from all the sloshing about of the waves, endlessly tossing and turning, frothing at the beach, undecided whether to land or go back into the sea of illusion with the masses, you will run a new gauntlet up the beach. Will you avoid that by putting your head in the sand and subsequently be washed out to sea again? Or plough forward regardless? But running up that steep and hazardous beach with people firing at you, not with guns or bombs, but with words, lies and projections thrown at you, all designed to pull you back into the swirling, frothing mass of the sea. Then you have another choice. Once at the top of the beach, or the fulcrum, then you have another test. Do you sail down the other side and join the hidden hand of darkness in the pit? Or do you become the non-hidden hand and reach out and pull others out of the sea of discontent? Some will say you can't reach the people from the top of the beach. I will say not on your own you can't. But if you use your imagination, you will join hands with others on the beach and form a chain to reach your goal. I hope people grasp that analogy. Whether you are on the land or the sea, essentially we're trying to create a new blueprint of what it means to be human. All other attempts failed. Why? Because they repeated the same process. And when the we becomes the I on the internal, and the I becomes the we on the external, the path of the sword is forged. We all fell for the sickness. That is why the word is called illusion, because we all became sick on it. We need to end the illusion.